when you're growing up in Uganda, of course, there is school. It's inevitable. Okay, it's not something everyone gets, but it's something that is there. So you obviously have to go to school whether you like it or not.
Right.
So when I was still at home, when I was still in day school, it had a very small effect on me. Actually, I didn't even feel anything. You'd go to school, make your friends, and at 4 p.m. you get back home and you'll hear the same things from mom. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so intelligent. Oh, you're so lovely. You're the nicest kid ever. And then you have all those great statements in your head and I can do this. I can do it. I'm beautiful. I'm intelligent.
Mujevale. My name is Bani Kibuka and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Welcome once again to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show with your boy Bani Kibuka. And as I promised you, this is the new edition from the last seasons that I've been doing. I told you in the last season that I'm going to stop naming them seasons. So we're just going to do episodes. And this happens to be my first episode that I'm recording with my guest. And welcome to the show, Jocelyne.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
You are such a very busy lady. You are one of the busiest people I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I just think our schedules they always seem to collide all the time.
I know. I've wanted to host you in my show, I think like 5 months ago. No, I don't think it's like 5 months ago, but it's been really long just to get a time to have you on here. So how is life? How are you doing?
Life is good. Everything is fine. I'm doing good. I thank God. I don't complain. He's been good to me. Yeah, it is what it is.
All this celeb, you're a celebrity, huh?
Celebrity.
Yeah.
I'll take that in Jesus' name one day.
It's crazy. The reason why I said you're celebrity, actually, it's actually combines to the way I got to know you. So one day I was on my Instagram, I followed Levikson, and Levikson shared a story about you. I think you and Levikson are friends, and I was like, oh, this person is moving to Michigan. And I was like, I live in Michigan. And then I messaged you, but then you didn't respond for a while till you came to Michigan. But like finding you on like Levikson page, seeing you with like Wilson Bugembe. Actually, I have a story of Wilson Bugembe too. Like
that's my pastor.
He and my cousin is called Freddie Kajumba. I don't know if you know him. Freddie is being close to Pastor Wilson, so he has come to his church quite often, and I got to meet him. I have a picture, I think I'll find it, I took with Pastor Wilson when I was young, and people would think we were twins back then, like that picture. I'll find it and show it to you.
I'll love to see that one.
But anyway, I'm so excited to have you on my podcast, and as you may know,
I'm so honored to be talking to you.
Yeah. I started this podcast to just listen to stories. I love stories. I love listening. I love telling stories.
Especially I do listening most of the times. Whenever you put in a new episode, I go and listen in when I'm doing my stuff in my free time, and I really like it.
Thank you.
It's one of my favorite podcasts.
Thank you very much. Actually, I was going to ask you, have you ever been on any other podcasts like before this one?
Being hosted?
Interview or anything?
No.
Yeah, no?
No. This is my first one.
Okay. Yeah, I started this podcast to just share stories and listen to other people's stories, and I love stories. But now, from your name, which part of Uganda are you from?
Jocelyn Luzige. I'm from where I used to live when I was in Uganda, in Nansana. But originally, I come from Mitiana district. That's where I come from, my dad. Batuzala Mitiana Mogulu.
Okay.
Yeah, Cheche Chalo Chate.
I can guess where you live in Nansana. Kuchibuloka.
Why those WhatsApp trends and stuff? No, actually. Well, why does everyone seem to only know Chibuloka? Oh, maybe Masito. I come from Yeso.
Yes, mother. Actually, I had a shop. This is why I say Chibuloka. I had a shop right next to Pastor Wilson's church. Now there's a gas station that's built there. But I had a boutique. I would sell clothes there on that street. So I worked there for a while. So what's your family background like? Do you have any siblings, and like how did you grow up?
My family background, I'm the second of 6 kids.
Okay.
Mom, dad, my big sister, and then after me there's 4. Yep.
That's a lot. I it's just me and my brother. We're just 2 boys. Like that's all I had.
How is that like? How is that like?
It's pretty fun. I like it. Especially my brother is just 2 years older than me. So we're kind of in the same age group. So we understand each other. Like now that we're grown, but when we were younger, we would fight a lot. So like
me and my big sister, we were never in good terms. We always used to fight. She always had something to do with me. I always used to get on her nerves. So
it was tough when we were growing up, when we were little kids. But when we grew up, it's actually good now because we think alike, we advise each other, we help each other, so we know what each other is going through. So it's pretty good to have like a 2-year age gap. It's not like where your older brother is like 6 years ahead of you and like they know more than you do. So I think I like it.
And it gets hard at times, you know. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at times you don't know where that tension is as they're still focusing on this one. This one is making sense. So there is that confusion, but it's a lot of fun to know that you're 6. Like, it's too much fun.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about childhood, like what is your favorite childhood memory? Like, you know, when we grew up, there's a lot of things, like especially us who grew up in Africa, now we live in America. You think about our childhood, like what's your favorite when you were young? Like what's something you really liked?
One of them, I won't speak out just, I won't say it's my favorite because, you know, there are always too many of them.
Yeah.
But one of them is, I remember when we were young and my dad used to come back at home in the night. So he used to come back with ice cream, chocolates, sweets, and he would pour them at the table. And he had, I don't know if you know CBS, right? So there was that program, Jebaitang, Uganda, Uganda, Kabaka, something like that. So they would ask questions so that you can win money. You know that program?
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, so my dad, to win the sweets, the chocolates, and maybe some little money, he would ask some questions and he'll be like, what is your grandfather's name? And he will give you like a second and you'll be like, tick tock. So when we were young, it used to give me a lot of joy when I know that dad is coming. I've asked, I've rehearsed, you know, and most of the times I used to win. So when you win, he carries you in his leg and he takes you around the house, you win chocolates, you win money. So
that's always fun. Actually, when you mentioned that, I remembered my dad used not to bring chocolate or ice cream, but he would bring bread. I was obsessed with bread as a young boy. And sometimes my dad would come back very late and I'm already asleep. And the only way to wake me up was bread. Yeah, Bonnie, your dad brought bread. I'll wake up. Or like they would bring it and they put it on my nose so I can smell it. And then I wake up.
Okay, that's funny.
I would sleep, like I would dead asleep, and my brother had to get me out of the bed and pull me like across the house, like to the living room so I can go have dinner. I would sleep a lot, and my brother would just either carry me or sometimes he would just drag me on the floor. And that was always fun.
Wow.
And
childhood memories, they're very beautiful to look back to.
Yeah, especially like I don't even know if we knew it was a tough life. We were just happy and just living in the moment.
I think about that a lot. Like we didn't even know what maybe they were shielding away from us.
Yeah.
You just get to grow and then you know, wow, so there was this, there was this.
So
Like,
what are some of the challenges like you faced growing up in Uganda as a girl child, like as a young girl? What are some of the things or challenges you went through?
One of the biggest challenges, actually my biggest challenge growing up in Uganda, you know, when you're growing up in Uganda, of course, there is school. It's inevitable. Okay, it's not something everyone gets, but it's something that is there. So you obviously have to go to school whether you like it or not.
Right.
So when I left, when I was still at home, when I was still in day school, it had a very small effect on me. Actually, I didn't even feel anything. You'd go to school, make your friends, what, and at 4 p.m. you get back home and you'll hear the same things from mom. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so intelligent. Oh, you're so lovely. You're the nicest kid ever. And then you have all those great statements in your head and you know, I can do this. I can do it. I'm beautiful. I'm intelligent. You know, but all hell broke loose. That was around 2011 when I joined boarding school for the first time. I joined boarding school in 2011. I was in P6. My mom had to do law, so she had to put us in boarding school. It was my worst nightmare. Like, I started to hear things that were contradicting what my mom used to tell me.
Right.
And at a certain point, I was like, wait a minute. Did mommy mean what she ever said? So kids would tell you, you're so skinny, you're so ugly, you're too dark, you're this, you're that. And in my head, so when all those statements like gather up in your head, it started affecting my grades. And when it affected my grades, of course, that was also brought into the statements, and they would tell you you're very stupid. Your grades are not even that good and stuff. So thinking about all that stuff, I started to take it in. I started to believe it. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because it didn't stop there. Going to secondary school, it actually became worse. I had to leave a school, the school I went to for Form 1. It was too much. There was a lot of bullying. There was a lot of body shaming, to a point that I would come to class and my name has been written on the board as the ugliest kid in Form 1. And I lost it. I had to leave the school. So I think that's my biggest challenge growing up in Uganda.
That's really tough, you know. Like, I mean, I've been smiling a little bit because I know the feeling. I went to boarding school. You talked about boarding school, and I remember when the first time they took me to boarding school, I was in P6 too, and my mom had to carry the suitcase on her head, and they took me to school. My parents were poor, and like I couldn't take anything. Like, you only have a few things to eat, and they don't have a lot of money.
Unlike other kids.
Yeah, and from your point, like you just say, I asked you because you're a girl, and I know a lot of girls in Uganda struggle, and you just sharing that with me. I know there's a million of other girls in Uganda that go through that, and you personally having gone through that, and it's, some people might think like it's such a small thing. Oh, you can deal with that. Oh, that's not too bad. But that leads to a bigger thing of depression, not doubting yourself, not believing in yourself, and like it causes other problem in the child's life. So,
and that's actually one of the biggest, other big problems I see with it. Like, when you talk to someone and tell them kids abuse me at school, kids don't treat me right, like this is not the way I'm used to being treated. Of course, you can't take it all away. You expect that as you grow up, people are not everybody's going to like you. But then if you talk to someone and they take it as a small issue just because they're going through something bigger than that, I just think it gets you into a state of depression, then mental health issues and stuff. So just like you said, small problem leads to another,
and sometimes the people you're telling these things cannot relate because they're not the ones going through that, you know. you can tell somebody a problem, but they can't relate to what you're saying. They say, oh, that's easy. No, just do this. Like they have a solution, but
And maybe
until
they're
you go
actually
through
going through something bigger. So they're like,
right.
I wish I was actually in your position. I wish I just had to deal with body shaming and bullying.
That leads me to another point where on your social media, and that's how I came to know you. You started an NGO, Brave Uganda.
Yeah.
What made you tell us about it and what made you start that?
I started that in 2019. That was in my head. That's when I got the idea. But here is where the idea comes from. Just like I've shared with you, that the body shaming stuff and all. So I always had it in mind that when I grow up, I want to be a hope for those that don't have hope. Mm-hmm. I want to help others to learn the easy way. I want them to learn from me so that they don't have to learn the hard way like I did. Something of the sort. So in 2019, I got the idea and I'm like, Brave can be a platform for many girls. I can start it up. It can help them in one way or another. So when I came back to Uganda, I started. And one of the people that really helped me with that
Hold up, brother. Coming back from Uganda, where were you from?
In Boston.
Okay. All right.
In Boston. So I came back, and that is the only thing that was on my mind. I just wanted to start a Brave. I wanted to be someone to help the girls. I wanted to be able to talk to them. I knew I didn't have all the experience in the world. Like there were very many people who have experienced harder things than I have. But I wanted some girls my age, because girls my age have usually not passed through a lot, like the people up there. So I wanted to help them with what I knew. So when I came back, I started up Brave, and I wanted it to be also something that can be used to reach out to people in villages. So one of the people that helped me with it so much was Booker. Booker, my mom, my big sister, and my brother.
Shout out to Booker Chimmy and your family.
Yeah, so they helped me so very much. And then a few of my classmates, the ones that stayed. And yeah, I think that's why I started it, to help girls.
Okay. And that's the whole reason I discovered that from you, and I wanted to talk to you about it. And on my podcast, I've talked about girls. My dad has a organization, actually it's a home that helps girls that are abandoned, abused. And I'm so touched with those. I never had a sister. I told you we're just two boys. So for me to see people standing out there to help girls. I mean, I never had a sister, but I've seen girls that I grew up with, that were my friends, that went to school with, and the way they struggle. And to see people coming out to help those girls. And when I saw your organization, I wanted to ask you about it. And I knew that the reason behind you studying it was of the things that you went through that you just shared with us. And that's what I wanted to talk to you more on, like even our listeners to hear about some of these things that are happening, and like getting to know something that you're doing. I have a lot of listeners, friends back in Uganda that might not even know about this, but it's something that they can jump onto and help them. And they hear from experience, like hear from somebody else. And that's the other point why I said this podcast, to share these stories, so to create awareness so other people can know about things that are going. And I share from my experience from the first episode. And that's why I want people to take out of this. So I checked your social media. I didn't stalk you, but like I follow you. I tell people that on my last episode, I told a guy I discovered something he does from his social media, but I promise I didn't stalk. I just saw it. But so you have Shiros. It's called Shiros, yeah. Which is discussion, and you have a schedule. And some of the things I saw, you have education, motivation, business, fashion, style, talent, entertainment, relationship, and like you have different dates when you do those things. So can you break this down for us? You don't have to go in depth, but like, what do you cover in education?
What we cover in education is, now that the lockdown is here, has been there, like most girls in Uganda, shearers, it's for the ladies.
Yeah.
Specifically.
What does it stand for?
Shearers?
Yeah, it's just shearers.
Hero.
Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. From hero
and then
to
she, so
okay,
just
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so there are many girls in Uganda that have not been going to school. Actually, they are still not going to school, and that includes my siblings too. So education, first of all, there is encouraging them to tell them that yes, you are seated at home, there is no school right now, but you can look past the lockdown. You can look for opportunities online, you can do something online, you can look for scholarships outside of the country, maybe you could keep studying now. The group has girls of different ages. So you tell them you can keep studying. If you're in secondary school, keep studying, because there is going to be a day where they're going to open schools and you'll need to go back and catch up. So study and study ahead, because you're going to go and they're going to pile you with a lot of work. So basically that's it.
So is it just like encouraging them, or you have some people that can actually help them with their education?
Now coming to the health part, since shearers is still something that is a starter group, we've not yet reached there, but that is one of the goals, to get people like maybe teachers, maybe counselors or something, to come in the group and share with the girls,
right?
To come and maybe teach, maybe do Zoom classes, maybe, but for now it's just a starter. So that's what we are doing in the part of education, but in the near future, that's what we are looking at.
Yeah, that's the same thing I'm doing with my cousin. My cousin, I think you've seen, he's 8 and he was in top class, and he has not been to class. Like, he's now 8 and he's still in top class. So
the little boy,
and the schools are closed. So what I did was to hire a private teacher who is teaching him every day, but like at home. So he's catching up. And like the school that I want to take him to, say they'll give him an interview so he can go to like P1. So he's not wasting all his years.
All that time.
Yeah. So that's a good thing actually to have for people, especially like you mentioned, the lockdown, and like even girls that are just struggling with education, to be there and just motivate them. And that
there's very many girls who are, this lockdown is like, it has a very negative impact, because they locked down the first time in 2020. People lost the entire year.
Right.
And now there is a second lockdown. Like, there are very many girls losing it.
Yeah.
You're going to find a young girl who would have been going to maybe A level, saying, oh, this is it, I'm stopping at Form 4. Something of that sort. So I think just giving them that push and encouraging them and telling them, you can do it, there is this, getting girls who have different stories of dropping out of school and making it to becoming big people in the world. So
that's actually
just that push.
That's a good point. And just, it's something that people need. The girls need it, because I was watching Bobby Wine's wife, Bobby, and she was sharing stories of girls who got pregnant during the lockdown. And I think something like that is really helpful,
and it's really happening.
And that leads me to the motivation part. Like, what is that, the kind of, how do you do the motivation? I mean, it's self-explanatory,
motivation, just like you say, kind of self-explanatory, but it's sharing stories of women that have made it, since it's a ladies group, women that have made it. And mostly we are not focusing on the international women. For now we are focusing on the women at home. Ababakyala mu Uganda abasobodde okuvaayo
Right.
Talk of the likes of Winnie Byanyima, talk about Babi Kyagulanyi, talk about in the music industry, we've seen people like Shiba, we've seen people, you know, those women who have strived and they've come out and they've beaten up the odds. Now, most times in motivation, I like to talk to them about body shaming, because that's where now I come in. That was my experience. And whenever I talk about it, it is so like amazing to see how girls are yearning to hear from people about that. So I normally talk to them about Oliver Nakakande, the former Miss Uganda, how she passed through body shaming and whatever they used to call her, and making it to Miss Uganda. So motivational stories, but from women in our country.
Okay. Yeah, actually that's a good idea, because it's easy for people to relate to the people that are in like a local from Uganda. Yeah. It's like telling somebody, oh, you grow up and be like Mark Zuckerberg, who created, he has never seen it. Like he doesn't even know the person, you know, but like, it's cool to see people from your own country, like people you know that have made it, that you can make it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go through all these other ones, like fashion and style. Like what do you do in fashion and style?
Fashion and style, of course, now sharing, just, you have to put on this, you have to put on this, while advising them on how a lady is supposed to dress up. You know, there is a certain way. I don't want to, that is a sensitive part, but you know, you can say something and someone might take it the wrong way. But to me, personally, I feel like the way you dress up has a very big impact on what someone is going to think about you. So in fashion and style, we talk about being decent, but at the same time, stylish and fashionable.
Right.
You can be smart, and yet you are decent at the same time. So that is what we are trying to promote.
Yeah, that's and I'm glad you explained that. I mean, yeah, people can take anything, you know, like even if you don't intend to say it in a bad way, but somebody can just take it, and that's inevitable. Like you can't avoid it, but it's good. Like you put a disclaimer there for somebody to know your point.
Yeah, actually, even in the group, I told them now I do not have a problem with what you decide to wear, because everyone has a choice.
Yeah.
You are entitled to your opinion, to your choice, but listen, this is my opinion. If you like it, you take it. If you don't like it, I prefer that you leave it there and you do not scold or, you know.
Yeah, but you made a good point when you say that the way you dress tells a lot about you as a person. So like somebody can get the first impression of you from just looking at you, you know?
The decorum, just the way you're dressed, the way you're behaving, and
Anyway, so yeah, talent and entertainment.
Talent and entertainment. There's too many talents. Now, personally, I'm a very talented person. Like, I'm multi-talented.
In what?
I do a lot of stuff.
Are you a comedian?
I do acting. I can act.
Yeah, okay.
I can act. I can sing. I can dance.
Yeah, I've seen your TikTok.
I can. Oh, really?
Okay.
Are you really serious? You're not a stalker?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
If you follow somebody, you're not a stalker.
I might need a restraining order, you know. But yeah, so I'm a multi-talented person. There is a lot I can do. I actually find it hard at times to focus on one thing, because whatever I touch, I can make magic.
Right.
So in talents, I just tell them there is a lot of hope on the side of your talent, even when on the side of your education, it hasn't worked.
Right.
There are very many people we've seen who have made it through education. They have their degrees, but then they've joined the music industry. They didn't get the money from the degree they have, but they got the money from the talent that they have.
Okay.
The likes of Waiki Benda. You know, he has his degree, but he's making a lot of money in music.
Yeah.
So he's talented. And we just encourage them because, parents have this kind of mentality that, you're supposed to be a doctor, you're supposed to be a lawyer, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that. And then they tend to forget that this is also something that can earn someone a living. And when someone loves something, there is a way that it's just going to be in them. You can't
take it away.
Seize it. You can't, put it away from them. So we just encourage them that you can keep on promoting your talent, because one day, one time, now that there is the lockdown, that guy?
Who?
That guy, MC Africa.
No, I don't.
MC Africa, the one of it's a Friday.
Oh yeah.
That guy. I mean, that is just talent. He's now everywhere,
I know. Yeah, I've seen him all over.
That is just crystal talent.
Right.
Nothing else. So.
Yeah. Actually, now we're gonna combine these last two: relationships and spiritual mothers. Like.
For relationships, of course, young girls. You get a boyfriend.
Can you believe the ideas of like boyfriend girlfriend relationships are totally different from the US and Uganda? Like it's all on the opposite of it. Like
it's
here,
on the opposite. Yeah.
Here, like a middle school kid will come home, mommy, this is my boyfriend, mommy, this is my girlfriend. Like you do that in Uganda, you're gonna get your head cut off.
You're just looking for a deathbed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good to have actually somebody to talk to people about these things. And like, I'm sure spiritual mothers is just talking to them about God and just reminding them about God, the creator. So
verses and that's it.
And that's good to have a time to spend with God and reminding them people, because that's what God asks us to do. Sometime in July last year, you had a no apology campaign. What was that about?
Body shaming.
Body shaming, okay. Because I saw a few videos of people talking about their lives, and can you just talk a little bit about it?
So I started that No Apologies body campaign. It was the time when we were in lockdown, and people were using the internet so much. And I realized there wasn't a time before that people ever used the internet as much as they used it in the first lockdown, because that was the only solution.
Yeah.
So I decided to put this campaign out there just to help people body shaming, telling them how they can handle if they are going through that, and telling them what they are supposed to do, and asking people not to do the body shaming, things like that. And I'm glad it got very many positive responses.
Yeah, that's
very many girls actually appreciated.
Yeah, that's really something that's actually big that people ignore, but to do that.
So it's just like asking girls, do not apologize for who you are.
Right.
If you're tall, that is you. If you're short, that is you. Fat or skinny, light or dark, do not apologize. You're just a masterpiece. So that was the whole concept.
Yeah. So actually, to all our listeners, this is a very good organization. And what do people have to do to join it? Like or can they just connect?
Right now that I'm not back home.
No, the girls actually, like girls who want help.
Oh, who want help?
Yeah.
You can reach out to me.
Okay. Yeah. We'll provide your social media and the social media for Brave Uganda, and so they can come and seek help, advice, and all these things we've talked about. Like if any girl, those of you who are listening that are in Uganda, then all over the world, social media gets everywhere. Wherever social media gets, you will connect. So all over the world. So yeah, we're coming towards the close of this episode. But I have this question from Booker Chimi that I've kept for a long time, ever since I released his episode. But when Booker was on the show, he said, actually, it was after we recorded, I was just talking to him, having a conversation. And he said, you're the reason why he did the song, I Don't Know No Kudono. And he wanted you to tell the story in the day I host you, the story behind that.
Okay, so wow. at Buka. So there is this guy I like so much, Honorable Muhammad Segirinya.
Segirinya is my favorite.
My favorite MP of Kawempe North, right?
Shout out to Honorable Segirinya.
I know. So I just like the way he handles himself. I like the way he's free. So there is this video of his whereby he was in the can. He was really happy after passing through elections, and he was like, Simani na kumanya. Simani na kumanya. So it was like my favorite video. So everything that used to make me happy, I used to just post it on my WhatsApp status or my Instagram, and then after that I put the Simani na kumanya. And then Buka used to tell me, but you want this video, and I'm like, by the way, you should make a song of that, you know, because he makes very nice songs of catchphrases that are popular. So I told him you should think about it, and then all of a sudden he tells me, hey, you need to listen to this demo. And I listened, and it's like, I don't know who don't know. And I'm like, wow, this is, and I'm glad the song made it, you know.
I hosted Buka, and like first impression I got out of him, he likes his music. First of all, like he enjoys his songs. Like he was smiling all over, and like his lyrics, and he makes catchy songs, just like you said.
Yeah.
I asked him that question.
Very talented.
I asked him the question on the show, how did you start? I don't know who don't know. And he's like, but that's when I told him that I knew you. And he's like, oh yeah, when you host her, make sure you ask her that question. So we're thankful that you have been able to tell us that story. And we can't wait to see Buka's reaction.
I can't even believe he took me serious. I didn't even think that was the reason he made the song.
I just want to thank you for giving me this time and coming to my podcast, but I'm not gonna let you go yet. I'm gonna ask you this question. I copied it from somewhere, but like, which guest would you like to see on this podcast next?
Wow.
And you're gonna help us find the person to get to this podcast.
I would suggest someone I really like so much, and still in that area of body shaming. I don't know if I can, but it's that former Miss Uganda.
Yeah, but the person you're supposed to tell us, you're supposed to help us find the person, and then you connect them to us so we can interview them.
We shall talk about that. We shall get her. I think we shall.
But also, I want you to help us bring Pastor Wilson Bugembe. We want him on the podcast.
Wow, that's a very heavy task. That's a heavy task, but let's see what God does.
Nothing is impossible. My dad told me
nothing is impossible
to a willing
so
heart.
Let's see what God does.
But yeah, anyway, anybody you want to see on this podcast that you know you can find us, just connect us and tell them, hey, you need to go on the Uganda Boy Talk show and just share a story. The last question.
Yeah.
What gets you excited about life?
The person that I'm becoming.
Yeah.
The person that I'm becoming, and how she's going to have an impact on girls, not only back home, but all over the world. I just get so excited whenever I think of that woman I'm going to be, that mother I'm going to be to many people, even not my own, but too many of them. That's a prayer I've always prayed to God. I've always asked him, God, make me a mother to thousands of girls all over the world.
Nice. That's a very good.
I just get excited.
That's a very good answer. And I ask people, that's my signature question of my podcast. I ask everybody I host what gets them excited about life, because it is something I want to listen to what people say. And almost all people have different answers, but all the answers, when you think about them, that's something that gets you really excited. So Jocelyne, I want to thank you a lot for sacrificing this time, and we were able to record this episode finally. Is there anything else you want to say to our listeners before I let you go?
Not really. You said you're going to provide the point of contact, the contacts.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you can say
Yeah.
them if you want, like your social media that you use. Social media handles.
I can be found mostly Instagram. I use my Instagram most. That is Luzige256. And Facebook, that is Jocelyn Luzige. And then WhatsApp, that is 077 66 41 741.
All right, I'll make sure I put that.
Yeah, that is where they can get me.
And then they can connect. And yeah, thank you very much and be blessed.
Thank you so much too.
Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode about my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.